am I a safe place for my wife to bring what she's thinking when she's sad, when she's ticked, when she's like whatever, right? Can she bring her mind, will, and emotions, right? Her effort, her lack of effort, without judgment.
Well, obviously, I need to go be there for my wife. Now, the dynamics were weird and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, my decision to walk alongside her, not to try to fix it, not to try to, even
Presence,
pray with
bro.
her, nothing. It was that ministry of presence, just knowing that my security in that season was to be walking alongside of her and just say, I'm here.
And there's going to be friction. There's going to be sparks. And I think doing the work, getting the healing, asking the Lord to, heal that wound is you overcoming a spirit of rejection.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Altar'd Manhood podcast. I got my boy Jerry.
Yes.
And my boy Ralph.
What's up, y'all?
And we appreciate you guys being with us. We're going to switch gears here a little bit today. We're going to do something a little bit different. And we promised, as always, that this would be a podcast. We would be open to receiving your questions, your concerns, topics you want to go ahead and talk about. Today was originally going to be part 4 of Intimacy. We might get to that, but we may punt as well. So we're just going to let the Holy Spirit lead us. So I'm going to kick it to Ralph. Ralph got a question from one of the subscribers of our podcast. And we think time is of the essence on this one. Ralph, we want to make sure we grab this one.
Okay, so we have a subscriber, and you can leave your questions there as well. But his question is how to process grief with your spouse.
Okay.
Like, how do I process this grief with my spouse? Now, specifically for this subscriber, their mother and their grandmother passed away. So the dynamic is, okay, I'm processing this grief from 2 of the most important women in my life. Man, how do I help my wife navigate this with me, for us moving forward?
Okay,
What
so what's the dynamic there, Ralph? Flesh this out a little bit for me. So the mother and the grandmother died in a short period of time?
Yeah, so probably about a year and a half apart.
Okay, year and a half apart.
Yeah.
And so this man is trying to figure out how to process grief with his wife, and his wife is obviously it's his side of the family.
Correct.
So we have that dynamic going on here too.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think there's tension there. I think it's just, when I look at it, for me, when my mom passed away, it was huge, right? I mean, like, that was the most important woman in my life. Like for me, my mom was my hero.
Yeah.
Like, my dad wasn't around. Like, my mom worked 3 jobs and blah, 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 this and that. So one of the strongest person that I ever met, and all of a sudden she's gone.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm hurting. My wife is supportive, but I'm not all there. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that's what this subscriber is dealing with, is like, how do I even get her to understand?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what I'm going through, What do you think,
and I think sometimes when we grieve, when we use the word grieve, we kind of put I'm supposed to be here, or I'm going here, and everybody grieves differently.
That's good.
Don't put a scenario on it that ain't supposed to be there. We all grieve differently, and I think you inviting your spouse into that is a good thing. Like, hey, give me some time. It's not about you. I'm not rejecting you.
Yeah.
I just need some time. But she needs to know that.
Right.
Because she's trying to do the best she can.
Right.
If you don't let her know, I think that's a start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let her know where you're at, and it doesn't have to be perfect, or we need to be here by this time. Grieving is an ongoing process.
Right.
I lost my mom too in 2020, and I went to Grief Share. And I've known Grief Share program group for a long time, but I got some nuggets out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I shared that with my wife.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm pondering this right here.
Right.
I'm pondering, and it just allowed her to know where I was at.
Yeah.
So just opening up yourself to where you're at is, I would say, step one.
That's good. So what I'm hearing you say, Jerry, is a couple things that are the foundation of what you're talking about. How are we being vulnerable and humble and open about our situation with our spouse? Number one, right? Do we have that level of communication where we're saying, hey, I'm hurting and I don't know how to navigate this path? Right. So that's number one. But number two, I think what you said is awesome too. You found community in this. You found other people that are experts, are trained in this, have the ability to understand how to navigate grief. And I'm blessed to still have my folks. My
Right.
wife is still blessed to have her parents.
Right.
You know, and so I don't have this deep understanding of that. But I think those points are huge. Can we be vulnerable and authentic with our spouse and say, I'm struggling?
Right.
Right. She's there to be your helper. She's there to help you along the way.
Right.
And then number two, do we find community? Is there a grief program that's out there that we can get plugged into?
Right.
So I think those are great.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ralph?
And I do think like it's interesting because I'm thinking back, you know, depending on how you're wired, you could literally reject those that's trying to be there for you. Right. And I love what you said, Jerry. And I just want to piggyback on that. It's like when our spouses are stepping towards us and we got this stuff going on, you communicated something. So for me, a lot of times I didn't communicate anything. You know, I'm all right. Just, you know, leave me alone, whatever, you know. Well, and I look back now, I'm like, man, I was so emotionally immature, right? Nothing's wrong. Just, you know, I'm just going through something, right? Instead of saying, you know what, let me be honest with myself and with you. I'm struggling right now.
Yeah.
I just kind of need a moment to kind of navigate this. You know, and this is not new. I just want to share the scripture. It just popped in my mind when we were talking 1 Thessalonians 4. So death is not a new, it's not a new thing, right? And so Paul says, but I do not want, this is verse 13, 1 Thessalonians 4:13, but I do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep. He's talking about those who die, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. That you may not grieve like those who have no hope. And so he goes on to say, since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so through Jesus, God will bring with those who have fallen asleep. Here's the bottom line for the believer. Because we believe in eternal life, and I know that's super cliche. Oh, they're in a better place. And, you know, this and that. When you're grieving, Paul is saying, hey, look, I want you to have hope. Like, just start with the step of hope, right? Like, man, you know what? I need to have an eternal perspective on this, right? And so one of the things that happened with me when my mom passed away was God was so gracious to me, and he gave me an opportunity to really recover from, because I was upset with God when my mom passed away. Like, I didn't think it was fair, to be honest with you. And, man, God gave me a vision. Like, I don't want to be weird, but like he woke me up in the middle of the night, and I literally saw my mom standing in like the doorway of our bedroom, right? And I'm looking, and she didn't say anything but stand there. And our prayer was that she would walk again.
Wow.
And so God was so gracious to me to say, hey, Ralph, man, your prayers were answered, just not in the way you thought they would, right? And so I think, you know, we have hope, we have an eternal perspective, man, but we lean into God and we say, God, hey, I'm struggling, God. Like, I'm struggling with you and your promises right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think that wrestling brings healing. And, you know, grief is something that people process differently. I piggyback on what you said.
Yeah. And for men, we kind of compartmentalize that. We like keep it in. We're like, well, this is the box that's going in and no one's going in that box.
Yeah.
So as a spouse, you feel a little lost.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I'm not getting through to him.
Right.
You ain't supposed to.
Right.
You're just supposed to be there and,
Right.
you know, and encourage and say, hey, I'm here for you whenever you want to open up.
Right.
Oh, whatever that relationship looks like.
Sure.
Right.
But I just think sometimes we can leave our spouses out
Yeah.
on the side and saying, hey, I'm going to own this. I got this. I'm doing okay. And I think that's not healthy. You know, invite your spouse into it.
It is inviting your spouse into it, but I think, Tim, this is a great transition into the intimacy.
No.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Right? When you think about that, it's like, what is intimacy? It's to see into me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times in our life, there's compartments in our life where God would create opportunities for us to be one with our spouse.
Right.
You know, and in my mind's eye, I think about some of the most intimate times. Like I've tried to fix my wife. I'm like, man, there's 3 steps to what you're going through right now. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's like, man, can you just sit with me?
Right. Come on.
Can you just be here? Like, can I not be a client today?
The ministry of presence.
Yeah. Like, would you just and listen?
Yeah.
Right? Hard stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But will you die to what you believe can fix someone? And just kind of be. and exist.
Right.
Presence.
Well, and I love to highlight some of the things you both are saying. I think at our take-home points, number one is when a man is grieving, right, and he's having a hard time walking through these emotions.
Right.
I know for me and for a lot of other men out there, we have kind of the flipped spectrum here. Our wife want to fix us.
Yeah.
They have the deep desire, and their motivation is pure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They want to
of
help
course.
us recover. They want to help us heal. And sometimes it's, no. You just need to come alongside.
Mm-hmm.
The script has flipped. You need to sit here and listen, or you need to give me my space. And so I think that's important, too, for this guy that's asking that question. Maybe the wife just needs to hear, he just needs time.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't something that's going to happen overnight, right? And the best thing you can do is be that Ezer Kenegdo, be that helper in this season, which is going to be, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry for what you're dealing with. Anything I can do to help. That's some time of the posture that wife needs to take for a man, especially when we're trying to jam it all into that box, which also was unhealthy.
Oh, it's super unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we talk about intimacy, as we kind of tie this back, that's intimacy too.
Yeah.
Is knowing when you as a spouse, you as a husband, you as a wife need to meet your spouse in the time of the season that they're in.
Yeah.
Right? Like on a personal note, my wife, her dad just went through a loss of his significant other to cancer. And it was tearing her up. And I remember talking to my accountability partner because I had a massive issue with some scheduling stuff with the kids on that particular weekend and how to work it all out. And he just looked right at me and he goes, why are we even talking about this? You know where you need to go. And
Thank God for
I love him to
accountability,
death,
though.
but boy, was he right,
Yeah.
And it was silly when I look back on it, go, well, obviously I need to go be there for my wife. Now, the dynamics were weird and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, my decision to walk alongside her, not to try to fix it, not to try to, even
Presence,
pray with her, nothing. It was that ministry of presence, just knowing that my security in that season was to be walking alongside of her and just say, I'm here.
Right.
And I will tell you, when we went to the service, God made it abundantly clear how important it was for me to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah.
That's it. All I had to do was exist and be there. So I think that's intimacy. Too.
I had a guy who lost somebody. I think it was a cousin or something, but it was a close cousin.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of those cousins that
Like
you
a
grew
brother.
up with.
Yeah.
And the wife was concerned because he was just shut down. So she threw him a party, like a get together, surprise, family members, and it backfired. And then he's sharing the story with me, and he owned it. He says, I never told her where I was at. So she tried her best to cheer me up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It
maturity
was
right
so,
there.
understanding. And he was
Yeah.
like, man, I did not let her into where my journey was. And, and grief are stages of grief.
Yes.
There's denial. There's anger. There's this. There's that. And I think everybody's on a different time length of that.
Right.
It's just not like, hey, 3 days of denial, you move on to the next
Yeah.
stage.
No.
No,
No.
it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, and what we get to do a lot of times is walk with families, and it's funny. Like I have a funeral this weekend, and I was talking to the mom. She lost her son, and she's just like her normal self, and she's talking out, and I just pause her in the middle of our conversation. I'm like, all of this is gonna hit you Monday. It's funeral Saturday.
Right.
Cause see, right now it's hey man, it's process. It's like, all right, funeral home.
Tasks.
But like sooner or later, you're gonna sit down and there's gonna be a missing piece in your life. And you're gonna want to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
And you're gonna wanna and it's just gonna start to settle in.
Yeah.
My cousin posted something the other day online about his mom, our aunt. And I'm like, bro, I look at my mom's number in my phone still.
Yeah.
Like wishing I can call her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, grief is difficult, but it also is an opportunity to create intimacy in your marriage. So that's basically what you're saying. And that's
Well, and
what
I
we're
think that's
saying.
right. I think as we kind of get to the end of this question in this episode is that's what happened in my particular situation. I didn't go through anything like you guys have gone through losing a parent, but in this particular situation, it just drew us closer together in our marriage, right? And, we've covered intimacy. We've covered the foundation of intimacy. We covered the original concept of intimacy from the garden. We've covered intimacy killers. We've covered what does it look like for singles, right? We've covered love languages. So we've done a really kind of good wraparound. So what we want to do here is and we may not bring it home in this episode, and that's totally fine. But if we do, great. What does this practically look like now in your marriage?
Okay.
All right. So singles kind of get an idea. Here's what we're looking for, right? Intimacy, especially, to a degree of marital intimacy is reserved for marriage, right? We've already kind of covered that. What do we need to do as a single to get to the point where we're ready to get ourselves into this space? But how do we cultivate it long lasting? Right? You guys are both 30 plus years of marriage, right?
Yeah.
How do we every single day, every single week, every single month, how are we cultivating intimacy on every level? How are we cultivating spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy, physical intimacy? Because that's really the long game, right? Intimacy isn't just, hey, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're intimate, good, ready to rock and roll. It is a long-lasting investment, right?
It is.
Yes.
But there's great reward to that long-lasting investment. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah.
I think in my experience, I know the things that I've learned. You, as men, we are ready. We're ready to go.
Oh.
Physical intimacy is something that, man, we don't have to debate or figure it out. However, our spouses, especially my wife, she needs to connect with me emotionally first before, physical intimacy.
Oh my God.
Is where we're going.
Yep.
So how do you connect with your spouse in an emotional level? I think it's creating space for that. A lot of times we're like, it's going to be on the agenda. No, you got to create space. And, we were just talking about this with the students we had yesterday, where at what pace am I leading my marriage?
Yeah.
Is it always on the go, or am I creating space within my spouse? What I mean by that? I don't know, Saturday morning coffee is just me and her, or putting the kids to sleep a little bit earlier.
Right.
These little things, you're creating space. And I use the example of Jesus. He had the ministry of interruptions. You ever notice? He got interrupted all the time.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
And he had margin for it. Space. So as Jesus followers, how are we doing that in our marriages?
Yeah.
And I think if we don't do that, it's very hard to have emotional intimacy, physical intimacy. You're always just catching up.
Yeah.
So just creating space would be, I would say, step one.
Well, I think it's great too, because I think the misnomer, right, sometimes as a man is we don't need any of that stuff. We're driven, right? There's that driving force behind us wanting to be physically intimate with our spouse. Totally nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
God ordained, right? But how do we bring our wives along to that? And I think that's so key, right? Are we leading our wives spiritually? Are we creating space emotionally, right? And the other piece of it too is, do our wives understand that there is a complete, our need for physical intimacy is also our level of emotional intimacy. Right? Sometimes that gets turned around by culture, right? Oh man, that's all he wants to do is have sex. And like, whoa, time out. No, like there's a component to that as a man that gets us into that emotional space with our wives to create that deep connection, which lasts really long-term intimacy. So I'm hearing what you're saying, man. It's so important.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a book or a movie, but it says women are what? Crockpots and men are microwaves.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Right? It's
true.
like, as a guy, and I just love the way God created it that way. He wants us to work towards that, to be able to work as a team, to understand each other, and not just like, oh, this is the formula, so it's going to work. No, there's a challenge with men being emotional,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity for intimacy, to bring your wife into your emotions.
And it will refine us too.
Right.
It'll refine us to be more like Christ. Sorry, Ralph. I know you get about 70. I'm just going to turn it over to you for a while.
Bro, you left me out there too long, man. Jerry just doubled down. I'm like, all right.
I got so many things.
All right. Yeah, my head's about to explode right now.
You go. Just go.
All right. Emotional intimacy. I love what you said. So your emotions are your mind. So your soul is your mind, will, and emotions. So like, am I a safe place for my wife to bring what she's thinking when she's sad, when she's ticked, when she's like whatever, right? Can she bring her mind, will, and emotions, right? Her effort, her lack of effort, without judgment? Like, can we have a conversation about what she's thinking, what she's upset about, in areas she's struggling with, and feel safe? So that's a level of intimacy. You talked about the spiritual intimacy as well, right? I think about, how can two walk along unless they agree? I like to talk, period. I had to learn to listen. I had to discover the art of listening. If you're out there and you're thinking about intimacy with your spouse or your wife, listen. She'll tell you everything you need to hear in a conversation. Listen and ask questions and just be present. And that's what builds intimacy, right? Because you're there. You know, the great theologian Prince has a lyric in his song. He says, it's a song called Girlfriend. And he says, if I were your girlfriend, would you run to me if somebody hurts you, even if the somebody was me? Like, that's the kind of relationship I want with my wife. Like, I hurt you, but I want you to run to me.
Right.
So that I can also rescue you. I messed up, but I want our intimacy to be so much that you desire to still pull me close. Yeah. And so I think, and I learned this from a mentor, you know, because you said bring our wives along. And I think a lot of men have that mentality. I'm here and I'm trying to pull her along, right? But I think the truth is, when we look at what happened in the garden, Eve was here, Adam was here, right? So how can I, instead of being out here and winning the day and seize the day and getting the deal and whatever, and bringing that mentality into my marriage, as a man, I want to come and walk where she is. And we walk along together instead of always trying to pull her somewhere. Hey,
Couldn't agree more. That's so good.
Like, no, I just want to be where, man, you want to walk today? Cool. But I like to run. Well, walk with her and go for your jog later.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, hold on. I think we need to slow down to that point, because I think that's so that's
fired
huge
up.
though, right? Because you got your type A driver personality that wants to lead his wife well, that wants to be her spiritual leader, right? And he's sometimes, what he believes in his mind is 10, 20 steps ahead of her. When in reality, he's not called to be 10, 20 steps ahead of her, right? His race, him leading, is his individual relationship and knowledge with God. Yes, that might be a little bit ahead of her in particular situations, but he ain't pulling her, right? He needs to come back to meet her where she's at.
yes, sir.
Find out her need, and then walk along with her in that need. And man, I was that guy, Ralph. I was that guy out here believing that I needed to run 100 miles an hour, get ahead of everything, and that somehow magically, stupid as this sounds right now, magically, my wife would just know to follow.
Yeah.
How can she know to follow unless you're coming to help find out, number one, what her need is, and number two, how you fill that need? She doesn't want to run alone. She doesn't want to catch up to you.
No.
She wants to run with you, walk with you, come
That's
along
good, guys.
with you, right? Man, I think that's so important to a foundational, before we even get to the physical intimacy.
Right.
How can we come back to our wives, if you will? That's such a terrible thing to say, but when you think about it, how can we come to
her,
our wives, meet her need where she's at, come alongside of her, because that what really creates that level of deep intimacy. I've just seen it in my life. I was that guy, you know, thinking that somehow in some way the dynamic of my marriage would be like the dynamic of the world.
Right.
So what made you say, man, I'm leaving her behind? Was that you being in a small group? Was that you just in your prayer time? Is that you in your Bible reading?
Honestly, I think I hit my head against the wall so many times.
And God will let you do that.
That I finally began to focus on really serving my wife where her need was, and really beefing up my communication with her.
There it is.
because I didn't need to keep running and assuming that she would be the communicator. Our wives are excellent communicators, but we're the initiators of that communication, right?
Right.
And when I came back and I began to initiate communication with her, all of a sudden it became I'm being intentional to carve out time, and it started working. Like, I think that's kind of the way I'm wired, right? I want to do what works. And when I saw that this started working in every facet of our marriage, I began to realize, man, there's a difference here. Just like you laid out, there's this difference between me running and my personal relationship after Jesus and him teaching me, and then me coming back to help my wife where she's at and leading her.
Because here's the thing.
So that was it. It was kind of just being a knucklehead for long enough, you know what I mean, to realize that we were good. Our marriage was great, but could it have been better? Yes, and now it is because of that.
I think the important part is that we walk along together.
Yeah.
That we're in step. You know, like in my mind's eye, I just see just a couple holding hands, walking, talking about life.
Cleaved
together. Like, man, just talk, just whatever. Like, whatever's on your heart, man. Whatever you're going through. How's your day? I think we lose that, Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have been in this thing over 30 years, bro.
38.
Raised 2 kids. You got 2 kids.
Three.
I got 3.
Yeah.
Three grandkids. You name it, right? Like, the hand holding goes a long way.
Yes. Closeness.
You know, we kind of lay it out. Date night, man. I got to make sure I get my date night in. And that's important. But, man, what about visiting her on her job? Lunch. Hey, man, text. I brought you lunch. I'm going to come hang out with you for lunch. We're going to sit in the car and eat. Like the things that you used to do. Right? This is how you increase intimacy. Man, is she on your mind? If she is, text her.
Right.
Call her. Hey, man, I'm just thinking about you right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know?
And a lot of times we think those things and we just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Do it.
You know, I remember a pastor saying, I think it was Rochelle that said, when you're thinking good something about your spouse, say it right there. Don't wait till I'll share that tonight.
Yeah.
No. Text, call.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I think we miss it sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're talking about intimacy. I got one more.
Go, keep going. You
Rejoicing.
get the floor.
What do you mean by that?
Here's what I mean. Proverbs 5:18. May your fountain be blessed. And there's a whole nother thing about drinking from your own cisterns. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
May you rejoice in the wife of your youth. And my wife don't like when I say the rest of this. But in the King James it says, may her breast always satisfy you.
Yeah.
May you rejoice in the wife of your youth. This is what I tell men. Dance with her like you did on your wedding night.
Yes.
Turn the doggone game off. Put on YouTube a song and dance with her. Like, girl, would you dance with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, do something.
It's good.
Like,
Be the initiator.
and be the initiator, but be happy, bro. I've been a jerk for a long time, man. Like, I have a hard day at work. Like, nobody wants to be around that. My wife tell you, man, my wife would tell me, like, dude, like, yeah, just go lay down. Like, I don't want to be around you. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to come 11 o'clock at night.
Try to be intimate.
Hey, you sleep? Yep. You know what I'm saying? But then I think about it, like, what did I do all day to cultivate that?
Yeah.
Did I come home with a good heart and a joyous heart, happy to be there? Or am I bringing my work there and talking about how somebody...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So many times, bro, like we don't process that. And it doesn't make for intimacy. It makes for a task.
Yeah.
It's just like,
So let's pause here for a second because I want to talk to the guy who this is a struggle right now for him.
Okay.
Right. They're in kind of the crazy cycle maybe in their marriage. Maybe it's gone on for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe a year. I mean, let's face it, guys. These are men in the church, right? Where marriages just aren't.
these are good men.
They're good men. They're good women.
Good women.
Right? But they just can't seem to break through that barrier, right? Of, man, I'm just not in a good space with my wife. Because what I've learned is that once you get in a good rhythm, man, that's where it's at. But it takes work to stay in the rhythm.
Buddy.
But let's talk to the guy right now who is struggling in that season to break through what made me think about it, Ralph, is that you may have had a bad day at work. You're sitting on the couch. You don't want to deal with anything, and you know that your relationship in your marriage is just not super. Right? It's not DEFCON 9. We're not running to go get counseling, but it's just not great. And because you can live in that space.
There's tension there.
There's tension, right? You can live in that space, right? I've lived in that space in my marriage before. It's not fun, right? Were we going anywhere? No, but it's not what God's intention is, right? So what does that man need to do?
Well, I think you were going somewhere, just not together.
That's right.
Because marriage, you're either drifting towards each other or drifting away from each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
there's really no in between.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
We drift away, and I think you definitely got to be intentional to keep going towards each other. I think for guys, it looks different. It depends on what season of life. There's the couples that don't have any kids. There's couples that do have kids. There's couples that have a kind of like a roommate relationship, where one's working at night, one's working during the day, so they become roommates. So for a guy to just be intentional to create that space is ideal. Like, how am I meeting her where she's at?
And is it his responsibility to initiate, Jerry?
Yes, someone has to do it.
Someone has to do it.
The guy is called to lead. I feel God gives him favor.
Yeah.
Right? A man who finds a wife finds a treasure and favor with God. Lean into that favor.
Yeah.
God, I need your favor right now because I just can't do it right.
But what if she rejects you the first time?
Well, I think get over the spirit of rejection.
Good.
Like,
Good.
own it. Like, why do I feel so rejected? This is the way she's responding. Maybe I'm going about it the wrong way. Honey, how am I connecting with you in a more productive way? I think when we start talking that way, and also too, invite other couples into the situation.
Yeah.
When you're at dinner with another couple, say, hey, we're going through a hard time with our kids. How did you guys handle? But sometimes we just don't want to present vulnerability or we are having issues. I think couples need to get real and say, hey, we haven't figured this thing out and we need your help. How did you guys handle? I think couples let's look for that.
Okay, so they're in the crazy cycle. Piggybacking off of you, Jerry.
And that's from a book called Love and Respect.
Love and
Emerson Eggers
Respect.
will put it in the notes.
Right. One of the most difficult things that we have done in our marriage was get marital accountability.
Ooh.
Now, we were in a group. That's different.
Right.
But do you have people, and my wife and I were on a crazy cycle last year, I think it was going into New Year's. And I was off the charts, bro. I'm talking about
We can laugh now.
Yeah, we can laugh
It
now.
ain't funny
but
when
I
you're
was
in it,
just
though, man.
so
It is
up,
miserable.
Bro, I don't know what got a hold of me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I just could not break it. And we got a couple who we're in accountability with, that we can be real with. And they got on the phone with us. And we laid it all out there. The wife was like, all right, Tracy, tell me what's going on. All right, Ralph, tell me what's, and it still didn't break. And one of the things that my wife said, she told my accountability, the man, she said, please call him, because he's not right. She said, please give him a call by himself. And bro, he talked me down. Like I was on the it was like 2 to 3 days of just straight up nutso, being mean to each other, existing, So I think you need accountability, right? You have to have it, like invite it in. I believe you have to be honest and upfront, like, hey, I'm trying to connect with you right now, but I'm missing it. Like, help me understand where I'm missing it right now. A man's greatest fear is rejection.
Yeah.
Because we grow up with that.
Right.
Like, we're always trying to get acceptance. And so I think for our spouses, like, it's important for us to really identify the difference between rejection and where we're taking up offense. Like, as a man, I have to learn, like, stop being so offended all the time. Like, everyone's not, she ain't trying to hurt you right now.
Right.
Maybe she just don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't take it as rejection and don't take up offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just kind of allow the story to be written and continue to pursue.
And a lot, I love what you said. A lot of that, we're just flippantly doing that really quick. Overcoming the spirit of rejection or that wound of rejection is not easy.
It's not easy.
It's a process to walk through. So we say that because we've been through some of this stuff, but at the same time, do the work. Man, the closest people that we've grown up with or we live with are the ones that hurt us the most. And there's going to be friction. There's going to be sparks. And I think doing the work, getting the healing, asking the Lord to, heal that wound is you overcoming a spirit of rejection, because you will be spoken to. Even when another couple is talking about your issues, you're like, ooh, that hurt. Ooh, I can't believe she asked that question. Oh, they're talking about me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great start, man, right there.
Yeah.
Well, and I like what you said too, Ralph, and I think this, we could probably end with this one, but let's talk about the guy who is doing it right, right? But maybe his wife is dealing with a deep wound where she continues to reject him.
Yeah.
Right? What do the wives need to hear? This was kind of something we had talked about a long time ago that we eventually wanted to put into this intimacy series, right? But I think we need to help women understand that if a man's doing it right, if he's trying, don't weaponize sex. Right? I realize I'm dropping a bomb right at the end of the podcast,
way to
right?
go,
But
goodness gracious, bro. What are you thinking?
what's your idea?
That is a whole episode.
Yeah, that's a whole episode.
And maybe we punt, and I'm fine with punting. But I think that wives need to be sensitive also to this too, right? Because when a man is in the crazy cycle and he has done damage to his spouse, right, it's very difficult for her oftentimes to come back to that and trust, right, and know that he is that safe place,
Right.
right. So let's just speak to that. Maybe we'll keep the other one for another time.
Well, I mean, you just talked about weaponizing sex, and So I think if a guy's doing it right, he's serving the Lord, he's praying with his spouse, he's doing all the things that he needs to do. I'm a firm believer in Jesus and therapy. I'm a firm believer in counseling. I'm a firm believer in marriage retreats. Get help, bro. Because unfortunately, man, like in our society, like women, bro, they go through a lot, man.
Fight a lot of things we don't.
Hey, bro, like when you look at, man, like people who have hurt them and men that they trusted, and I watched a movie one time, man. 2 movies changed my life, and I shouldn't even, I'm going to say what they are because they rocked me. The first one was Waiting to Exhale.
Yep.
The other one was For Colored Girls. And it's basically a movie where they follow these women who all deal with these different traumas. And I'm in the movie theater with my wife, bro, and I am weeping to the point to where she's like, trying to eat my popcorn here. You know what I mean? But the lights came on. My face is like wet because I'm thinking about my sister.
Yeah.
Thinking about my mom. I'm thinking about my wife. And I'm like, man, y'all been through a lot. And so sometimes it ain't even us. It's reminders of their trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And so it's important to have these conversations and get help. I mean, that's what I would say.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jerry.
I agree with you 100%, man. When it comes to sexuality, I mean, there's so much things that sometimes we don't know about our spouses that she hasn't let you into that world yet.
Yeah.
And I think walking in that direction is a great thing. But there's so much to that from a men's perspective of how God wired us and why sex is so important, right? They say sex is a thermostat of your relationship.
Well said.
Right. I think that tells you a lot of where you're at.
Right.
And breeding, cultivating intimacy.
Yeah.
Someone's having a good sex life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's just so much more than just the act of sex.
No,
there's a
absolutely.
spiritual component
There's a
of it.
100%
the emotional,
spiritual. Yeah.
the physical. We as men need all three.
Right.
Yep.
It's not just the physical part, but at the same time, it's cultivating that
Right.
with therapy, with talking, with communicating, with expressing your feelings after a movie.
Right.
I mean, I'm right there with you because I'm a movie guy, and I'm like, how did that make you feel? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
A month later, why didn't you want to talk about it? Remember? There was something going on there.
Yeah.
But as men, we can't give up and say,
Right.
no, we got to lean into it a little bit because, to your point, Ralph, there's things that I've learned about my wife, not when I said I do at the altar,
Of course not.
Yes,
but
sir.
years later.
Years later.
The deep well.
Yeah. And here it is. I say this all the time. I've said this a couple of times where I found through our counseling, because me and my wife went through counseling many years ago, I remember the counselor looking at me and saying, "Did you know that about your wife?" And you know what I said? Here's a guy like Adam, the woman you gave me, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I said. Ready? No, I didn't know. You never told me, right? I'm telling my wife that.
Right.
You know what she said? You never asked.
You never asked.
Yeah.
Bro, this is...
So let's you
Like,
said something really
oh
important.
my gosh, Tom.
I know. So we're gonna have to go to part 5 of intimacy. We already know that's gonna happen. So as we wrap up here, I want to hit on one thing I think really important that you said. Really 3 things I got. Number 1 is, sex is the thermostat of your marriage, right? If that is well, typically the rest of your marriage is well, right? And I think that especially women, but men need to understand as well that that's the whole kit and caboodle for us, right? That's the physical, that's the emotional, that's the spiritual, that's all of that put together culminating in one, right? And so when we think about that whole entire component of that physical act, but all the emotional and spiritual components of it, that is not as segmented. That's all together. Where women, it's more segmented, right? And lastly, I'll tell you this, which is really important, I think, and you guys get the accountability we've talked about a bunch of times, but that's like one of the number 1 things I talk about with my accountability partner every time. The checklist that we go down. Okay, how's your sex life? Because he knows, and I know, that based on that will determine how well everything else is going in our marriage. So, any last thoughts? We are out of time, my friend.
We're out of time. Like and subscribe, man. And you know what? Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Let us know what you're thinking, not only about the content, but leave a comment, leave your questions. And ladies, I know there's a lot of y'all listening out there. Man, we would love to hear from you. Like maybe we don't say something that maybe you feel like there's a couple of areas of intimacy that we're missing that men need to know about. Man, we're open to hearing from you, okay?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
we appreciate. Go ahead.
Your Father's Day's coming, so if you're a dad and you're struggling out there, put a question in there of what can help you in your relationship as a dad. But Father's Day coming, we love the dads. Keep for watching.
Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Next Gen, Marlon back there hosting us as always. Appreciate you, sir. And we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, share, and let us know how we can be praying, serving, and any of your questions.
Peace.
Until next time.